My wish for United Lisbon is that children find a happy and safe place where their curiosity for knowledge is encouraged.
United Lisbon is an international school that makes the learning exciting. And that is because we connect the learning to the real world and give the students the skills they need for tomorrow.
United Lisbon will be a leading international school in Portugal. It will be part of a wider education campus that'll have so many elements that'll contribute to the education of the children in the school. It'll be connected to this amazing academy for coding, languages and music, and children are able to be closer to companies that can offer internships and shadowing projects much earlier on.
We want our students to find their individual passion. And to do so, we encourage them to try a whole variety of different projects, because when they engage in activity they are passionate about, they will feel that energy, that they want to learn more, and it comes natural. And that's when they understand what drives them.
Children learn differently, and the classroom of tomorrow needs to allow different types of interaction. So all this has an impact on how we design the classroom, about the size of the classroom, about the type of furniture we're going to put in there. It's all important to allow an effective learning for each child.
Learning is never in isolation. It is through connecting with the communities around us. Being located in the area of Park of Nations offers us amazing opportunities to connect with the local entities for the purpose of education.
Think about how exciting it is for students to learn at the Oceanarium and with the scientists at the Oceanarium. You can discover biodiversity and the water cycle, but also explore sustainability or how to shape global challenges around the oceans.
I mean, education is learning, but not only. It's educating children to be good citizens, being a happy person and being part of a community.
The children of tomorrow need to understand even more about empathy and emotional intelligence. Roman and I decided to name our school United Lisbon because we strongly believe that world problems can only be solved through being united.
Technology and the fast pace of change is a big challenge for schools. That's why we partner with Microsoft to enable our students to use the same tools for their learning as the most modern companies around the world would do. And it's more than technology. It also connects our classrooms globally to schools in Asia or in South America, so that if students learn about, for example, climate change, they can bring in truly global perspectives into that learning.
It's really going away from the traditional way of teaching, which is what I had in school, and having art studios, makerspace. It makes education more playful and more interesting for children, and I think it will captivate more the attention of a child going to school. It feels really exciting.
I look forward to day one, when the kids enter the building, when they look for the classroom, when they meet the teacher, when the whole building starts to live. That will be the moment of happiness and gratitude. So I'm excited. I'm already excited.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our new webinar. I see that we have now 31 attendees here. So welcome everyone to the new edition of Moviinn Talking, Portugal Explained, interactive talks and Q&A sessions. My name is Alexander, or shortly Alex, and I will be your host for today. And I will be asking some questions. I will be receiving some questions from you, hopefully, and I will be facilitating and helping our amazing speakers today to provide and to have a very interesting talk for all of you. Just a little explanation in the beginning what Moviinn Talking is. Moviinn Talking, Portugal Explained, is a series of interactive talks and Q&A sessions organized by Moviinn. Moviinn is an expat relocation and integration service based in Lisbon. We will have our CEO and founder just shortly explaining what we do and how we do it. More importantly, today we're very honored and very happy to bring you this edition together with United Lisbon International School, our partner for this edition, that will be all about schooling and education in Portugal during COVID times, and more specifically, how the United Lisbon International School and how we all together as an expat community can step up and improve all the situations and answer to all the challenges of the COVID time. I want to present our speakers today. I just need to check something. I'm sorry for a little interruption. Does everyone hear me well without an echo? Okay, just checking. Thank you. Before I present our speakers today, and that gives me really an immense pleasure, I would just like to encourage all of the attendees to post any questions or comments or doubts in the Q&A section below. We will be following with all of the attendees and the registered people, and specifically we will be following with the ones who have any questions or issues afterwards, so please use the Q&A section below. As for our speakers today, it is my great pleasure to present with us first Chitra Stern, the founder and board member of United Lisbon International School. And of course, not only that, most of us probably know her as a passionate entrepreneur, real estate developer, hotel developer, now in the area of education as well, working alongside her business partner and husband Roman on their projects in Portugal. Chitra is also an owner and founding board member of Martinal Family Hotels and Resorts. Was on the committee of Portugal In, a special task force created by the Portuguese Prime Minister's office to further enhance foreign direct investment in Portugal. She is also an invited professor for luxury marketing at the Nova School of Business and Economics, and is the incoming president of the Entrepreneurs Organizations in Portugal. The recipient of many awards, some of them are prestigious Deloitte Institute awards for an accomplished entrepreneur at the London Business School, then Person of the Year award by the International Family Travel Association, and the Family Traveler Award for special contribution to the family travel market. Chitra herself is a Singaporean of Indian origin, having been living in Portugal for quite a while, an electronic engineer, chartered accountant, and holds an MBA of the London Business School. Apart from Chitra, we also have Megan Kummerlin, who is a founding elementary principal of the United Lisbon International School. Megan has 14 years of teaching experience in countries such as US, Brazil, China. She's also an experienced educational leader. And she likes to say that in her heart, it is, she holds her philosophy, which is all about connecting and building relationships with students, families, teachers, and staff in order to improve student learning. Megan describes herself as a learner and leader, as a community enthusiast, as a tech nerd, as a person passionate about pushing the boundaries in creative ways, as a world traveler, also a former basketball player. Then we also have with us Dr. José Asque, the school's lead principal. José has 25 years of teaching experience in countries such as Brazil, Canada, and Portugal, with PhDs in chemistry and philosophy, diploma in international school leadership. Dr. José Asque is widely engaged with the International Baccalaureate Organization, has served as headmaster of an international school, and held leadership and teaching positions at several international schools in Portugal. In 2000, he was awarded the diploma of the Principal Training Center for International School Leadership. And of course, as always, last but definitely not least, we have our own founder and CEO, James Muscat. Shortly, I don't know any person who doesn't know James, but just a very short intro. James has been a passionate startup entrepreneur, community builder, who bridges and connects expat communities around the world with Portugal and its locals through Moviinn, who organizes this webinar together with the United Lisbon. Moviinn is a relocation and integration startup based in Lisbon. James himself is Maltese-born, moved to Melbourne, Australia with his parents ever since, has been living in many different countries and cities, only some of which are Florence, Lisbon, London, Madrid, Tel Aviv, and so on and so forth. James holds a double degree in computer science and business management with a postgrad in UI and UX design from the universities in Lisbon and Madrid. So I hope I didn't make any mistakes here. This was pretty an overwhelming introduction, and it gave me really enormous pleasure. So thank you again very much for joining us, and thank you for this partnership on this edition. We will be talking today about a topic that is really huge and wide, so we will definitely not give you all the answers, but our idea is to tap into the problematic and to give some major insights. Today's topic is schooling and education in Portugal during COVID. More specifically, we will be discussing and offering solutions to challenges of schooling at present COVID times. And like in every extraordinary circumstance, we thought that the topic of education in general, and more specifically schooling and how it is organized now, is of crucial importance. So it is quite a big topic, as I said, but we will try to give you as many answers as possible. And just for the beginning, from the standpoint of Moviinn as an expat relocation service, education and schooling for our clients is one of the most important components of their relocation process. So coming to a new country can be quite bumpy and frustrating, and in some cases traumatic, even for the children. So schools and actually choosing the right school for your children plays a crucial role in making their transition into the normality of the local life. And in our experience, there are various stages of the relocation journey, but in the case of choosing the right school, we think decision-making phases where these issues must be discussed. So I would just like to ask James to give a very short intro on how we do this, how we address these issues, and what is our approach in Moviinn.
Thanks, Alex. I think you've covered most of it there, but so we do offer services that help with obviously the decision-making process and taking this all from moving into Portugal and setting up, whether this is immigration, whether it's tax issues, or setting up with all the essential first in between.
James, I'm sorry to interrupt you, James. Just a second. Yep. I believe there's something wrong with your mic. So if you have earphones or maybe it would be better.
Okay, let me try that again. Okay. Is that better?
It is better now.
It is better? Okay,
yes.
Sorry about that.
Thanks.
So as I said, your introduction was quite complete, but we're here to help with anything that anyone needs when they're moving into Portugal, whether this has to do with immigration, tax, setting up a business, or finding a home. And as you stated very precisely, the biggest decision makers is definitely about education. So for having this clear from day one on where children are going to be going, has, it's a make or break. If a family feels comfortable with where their children will be studying, then that will be the ultimate decision on whether they're moving. So it's great to be seeing that we have, United Lisbon that is opening up now, a great addition to the Portuguese education system, and I'm very happy for us to have had this opportunity today.
Thanks, James. We still have a little bit of problem with the sound coming from you, but let's hope we will solve it. I just want to remind again, I encourage you to post questions in the Q&A section below. Just a little reminder. And I'd like to start this discussion by asking Chitra to tell us her story in short. I mean, we have heard some, in the video that we've seen in the beginning, we have heard some buzzwords and buzz phrases. I can fairly say values, such as connect the learning to the real world, finding an individual passion, classroom of tomorrow, effective learning, learning through connecting with community we live in, and so on. We do not hear these kind of discourse when we hear about schooling today, or at least not much. So what was your decision, what was your motivation to create an international school in Lisbon?
First of all, thank you so much, Alex and James, for organizing this webinar. We're pretty excited to be here, and it's all on Facebook live stream, and you'll be putting this up on YouTube, so it's there for eternity. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Opportunity to explain ourselves and what we're about. So as you quite rightly pointed out, there are a lot of values that went into this project of the international school, set within a wider education hub for Roman and me. And you hear some of the words in that film. But going back a couple of years, I guess the original motivation was simply one question: why?
Exactly.
Why was there not an international school in that area of Lisbon? This is how we started, actually. In the Parque das Nações area, you did not have a single international school. And for us, as foreigners who've lived here in Portugal for several years, Parque das Nações is a beautifully planned, it's an urban regeneration project, as many Portuguese will know. And it's one of the most modern areas in the city of Lisbon, in the central business district, as some people call it, but it might give the wrong impression for those who don't understand how the layout is and how mixed urban living has been perfectly achieved in what the Portuguese used to call the Parque Expo area, Park of Nations. So that was, when we moved, we lived for several years in the Algarve, and the kids obviously have been in international schools there while we lived in the Algarve. But when we moved to Lisbon, we would have loved to have lived in the Park of Nations area for logistic reasons as well. We needed to stay connected to the south via the Vasco da Gama Bridge, close to the airport, close to city center for all our meetings. But we were astounded that we would not have an international school to send the kids to. So the question started with a why. And that part of Lisbon has the Deutsche Schule, which is the German school. Some people confuse international school with German curriculum schools such as the Deutsche Schule and the French Lycée, Lycée Français, Charles Lepierre. So there was a French school, German school, but no international school. So it was a why. And during my work, you mentioned that I worked for the Foreign Direct Investment Task Force Portugal in. That was my pro bono work for 3 years. I'm very proud of having worked with the Portuguese government in the area of FDI. And one of the key barriers for foreign direct investment in any city, I mean, you look at what's been talked about in Amsterdam or Frankfurt, especially post-Brexit, when they spoke about companies moving to Frankfurt or Amsterdam or Dublin, one of the key barriers to a company moving, and attracting expats or moving some of its expats, etc., and its executives to another city, is a lack of international schools. So if there are not enough places in international schools in a city, you don't actually get foreign direct investment. So education is actually a key reason for FDI in general. I'm talking about, you know, university level as well. And you see that, you know, with famous schools attracting foreign students in Switzerland or the UK, you know, there is a move of capital to these places where there are good international schools. So, you know, there are other reasons which prompted us to think about a project. And at that time, it started out as, okay, we could help, you know, the Camera of Lisbon, and we met the mayor at the time, and it was clearly a priority area for investment for them. They said it is key to attract foreign investment, and we do need an international school in this city of Lisbon. But that became sort of investment for ourselves when an agent brought us this chance of investing in an old defunct university building. And we're entrepreneurs, and we, you know, we love this area of education. We love it still. You know, it's always been a passionate area of mine to follow. And I have 4 kids, so we are constantly thinking about the future. You know, what is the future of education? What is the future of our world? How is the world going to address these problems that we're seeing? And now we've just been given another problem, you know, a global pandemic. So it's a series of things that we've been looking at, and you'll see in one of our videos that the value of United, you know, why we named our school United Lisbon, is simply because it's only by staying united that we can solve global problems. You know, you need to work together as countries across disciplines, across cultures. So these are some of the things that I can talk about, you know, starting in late 2016, early 2017. In fact, early 2016, because we moved to Lisbon in 2016. So these are some of the motivations behind. As far as values are concerned, I think you've heard it all in the video, and we are building a culture around those values, those pillars, in the people we've brought to the project, the international school operator we've brought to the project. We've brought international school services from Princeton, New Jersey. They've built, you know, they've kicked off over 100 schools all over the world over the last 60, 70 years. We've got Dr. José Asque, as you pointed out, and Megan Kurmelin. You know, these are all people who are fitting into our, you know, beautiful culture that we're building, you know, and they represent these pillars that we have already started to build the foundations on. So, yeah, values, you know, it's much needed in the heart of Lisbon. An entrepreneur usually looks at taking away pain points, as you know, just like Moviinn does. You are removing pain points for people moving to Lisbon, and an international school is one of them. So I'm sorry, that's the problem when I start talking and it's such a long term.
Never mind, it's my role also to sometimes just jump in. And yeah. I mean, I heard so many buzzwords, but what I want to say, I think it's very important, like united from United Lisbon. For example, in the case of Moviinn, what we do, I think that would be global, making it possible for people to become global citizens. Yeah, we are all from all over the world, from very different places in the world. I mean, James is born Maltese from Australia, lived all around. Megan is American. José is, if I'm not mistaken, Portuguese.
José is Spanish in origin, Catalonian, right?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Or Basque. Sorry, I might. José, please tell me.
Yes, it's Basque.
Okay, Basque.
I'm sorry, I'm still, you know, I had to learn how to pronounce José's name because everyone was saying Asque. And I asked José, is that correct? And he said, no, it's actually Asque. So
that's one of the first questions that I had in the preparation of this webinar. How do I pronounce the last name? But I mean,
my students, I used to tell them, can I ask you? So then it's, can I ask you a question?
Can I ask you? Ask.
That's nice. That's nice. Yeah. But José is also Canadian. So Spanish, Canadian, and living in Portugal. So it's amazing. And Megan has worked in Brazil and China and here. I'm originally Singaporean and Indian, but British, Swiss. My husband is Swiss and we live in Portugal. So we're all from all around the world, which is
yes, we cover a lot. And that is very something for us in Moviinn, and I see it for United Lisbon and for all of us individually, both privately and professionally, very important. And I want to stress the importance of global citizenship, and especially in these troubled times such as this one. Not only these times, but especially in these ones. We in Moviinn are guided by this philosophy of global citizenship, and for us it means that we facilitate people from all around the world in their experience of living and working in another country and being a part of that transformative and life-changing experience. And when we talk about that, there is no better place to talk about that, and there's no better place where that starts happening, making people global citizens, but the school, right? So I would also like to ask a general question for Megan and for José. What do you think in terms of the globalization, in terms of global citizenship, what do you think that are main challenges of the education and schooling today in general, worldwide, and what would be these challenges in Portugal? You have experiences from different countries worldwide, so would you please share your insights about that? Megan, if you'd like, or
sure. I think in general with education, having a global perspective is very important. And I think when I think of local schools in the States or public schools, you might not have that opportunity because it's pretty, a lot of students look the same, they are coming from the same area. So yeah. I think the value of an international school is to have a diverse community where just naturally it's something that happens when you're in a classroom with kids from all over the world. So that's something that at United Lisbon we're really excited about. As a parent, I'm excited about for my children to make friends with students from all over the world, because by living and learning together, you truly get diverse perspectives that then can't be taught in a textbook. Those are experiences authentically to each student and each learner and their families as well. So I think when you're looking at it, we can preach it, we can teach it, but when you actually get to walk a global perspective, that's when it's very powerful and changes your own perspective on the world.
José, or should I say now José?
Would you
mind adding something?
No, I mean, I'm just to add something, just to say something. I also had 3 children that went through international education, and it's very interesting to see how for them, some of the stigma that adults will have because they're brought up in this completely diverse environment doesn't exist. There are things that we don't have to teach them. It's natural for them. So it's something that it's proven that it's created. Some of these barriers are human created. They're not natural. And in United, we're just with a very small number of students the first year, but we already have over 20 different nationalities confirmed. And that's one of the beauties for education, because it's just part of growing with complete different perspective for the world. I think it's an asset.
Which countries have you been working, both Megan and José? So it's Brazil, Portugal, Canada, China. How are these countries different to one another? What would be the main insights or the main learnings that you took from these countries and perhaps you can apply here in Portugal?
Megan.
I think every country I've worked in has been different, obviously, but when it comes to an international school, it really comes down to the values. So a lot of schools can say they're international schools, but does that come through in the ethos and the daily practice of the school? And I think that's a huge thing. So both my schools are very different. All 3 of my schools internationally. I've worked in China, northern China, and then right by Hong Kong. And those were different for different reasons. The expats that were there, some were just there for 2 years and they were moving on and they knew that. So it was more of a transient community. My latest school, or my last school, students stayed from preschool up through graduation. They were expats, but they found a community there that they loved. So I really think that that is also why you said earlier I'm a community enthusiast, because I think as international educators and community, we become each other's family. And that's why it's really important to have a classroom community that is accepting and diverse, but as well as going down to the teachers, the bus drivers, everybody in the school has to be willing to lift each other up in times where, because it is, you'll go through roller coasters when you move. You'll love it. You'll be in that honeymoon phase that everything's amazing, and then suddenly everything's not amazing. And parents feel that, but students feel that as well. So it's our job as a school to support students and families through all of the highs and lows of being an expat. Excuse me.
Exactly, and school plays. Go on, please. Go.
No, sorry. So I was just going to say, I was thinking. Meanwhile, Megan was talking, and I was realizing that actually my experience, the different international schools, the only difference are more cultural, and those are more visible with the adults, with the parents. So the children, when they come from a different country, they blend and they merge very easily. Even if they're different countries and different, the parents are the ones that need to adapt and change. And I always remember when I came from Canada, was just for a sabbatical, and advised that my former boss, he told me, he said, go for a year, try to see if you adapt. If you enjoy it, you stay. If you think you like it, but they're going to change, come back, because they're not changing. So the cultural things you learn, you adapt, and the children are very easy on that sense. So normally the parents are the ones that we need to coach them much more than but normally people that enroll kids in international schools, they're already open to an international education.
Yeah, and I'd just like to comment on that, if I may, for
please.
And I think Alexandra and James both know this, and so do Jose and Megan. I find Portugal to be one of the most open, tolerant, liberal, welcoming societies I've ever lived in or visited. And I think that molds the local culture of the school a lot. So one part is where are the people coming from? I mean, as Jose said, we've got over 20 nationalities recruited already in our 100+ students. We've got 100+ students recruited for the opening on the 14th of September. And they're from 20 different nationalities, which gives me great delight, to see, and it's going to build this united culture. But doing it in Portugal is a whole other thing. I mean, there's a lot of, I've done a TED talk on why Portugal is trending. You'll see a webinar I've done before about the Portuguese miracle, about why Portugal will be even more popular in the post-COVID world. And I know, Moviinn, James and Alex, that you're obviously working with this huge asset of people wanting to move to Portugal, right? I mean, it's a fantastic place to move to for the lifestyle. And one of the key unique points here, I think, is that we live in a very open, tolerant, liberal society, and people are very welcoming. So that helps build what we're trying to build, I'd like to say. So just wanted to pitch in with that. Thank you.
Speaking about the relocation process is very fragmented and complex and frustrating, and the emotional curve is actually quite uneven. Yeah, and I think schooling, both for parents and children, are kind of helping a lot to even that curve and to improve the relocation and integration as well experiences in the country. So speaking about this, I'd like to move on more specifically. We in Moviinn work with different types of expats, including families, of course, and not rarely we receive a lot of questions about how to find a proper international school for their children. And there are many questions such as, is there a school with a German program, a French program, an American program? Is there a school with a true international program? What are the certifications? Can you normally enroll high school or uni after that? Is it taught in Portuguese? So all sorts of questions that basically sometimes we know how to answer ourselves. Sometimes we need to to be in contact with schools such as United Lisbon. Lately, of course, we also received questions about security and safety during COVID, about the way the teaching is held. Is it online? Is it presential? Is it both, a combination? So on the top of that, we have been hearing increasing struggles of parents having to take care of children at home, homeschooling and home working. So this entire situation of COVID has actually made it difficult. There is an entire array of issues that schools can tackle and solve for sure, having said all of this. So what would you say is, what would you say that the answer to all of these problems would be from the United Lisbon International School? Maybe Jose, or I don't know.
I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of lost. It's too long, the question. So I think that each school has to have, you cannot try to be like a school that serves everybody and does everything. So I think parents need to do their homework and see if they identify with the school. So, I mean, it's just like has to be a completely, it's like a marriage between the school and the families. It's not worth it to just enroll because someone told you. So we really want the parents to have a good chat with us, so that the process is lots of information to make sure they like what we do, because there are many types of schools, like you said before. Mm-hmm. So you have to see if what each school offers is what you're looking for. So the schools that are very traditional, and the schools that are much more open-ended, the school with so you need to see that's a real matching between the family and the school.
Okay.
I'd just like to jump in and
Yes.
answer one of your other concerns. Look, I mean, as Jose says, what is the school? And I saw some questions popping up, and I'll just answer some of the ones I've seen. I can't keep track of both, Q&A and this, but
no, I thought about doing it in the end, the question.
Yeah, no, but it's part of the information that you're talking about, the match, mm-hmm. right? So I'm just going to answer it now. We are taking in kids from kindergarten till grade 9 in the first year. Mm-hmm. We're an American-based curriculum. Mm-hmm. We are offering IB for grades 11 and 12, which is the International Baccalaureate. I just wanted to say it's the IBO, which is the International Baccalaureate Organization, because it might, I heard bachelorette, which is something slightly different. I know, bachelor, International Baccalaureate, it has a, baccalaureate or baccalaureate, is how people usually pronounce it. But the IB, we are only, the first kids who are graduating from with the IB diploma will be in 2024. Mm-hmm. And we will only be, starting grade 9 for that reason, because we want to build the high school years. I think there was a question about, are you already, we don't offer the IB diploma yet. We will be offering it for the students as they go from grade 9. Yeah.
We're in the process of accreditation already. So we're a candidate school already.
Exactly. Okay. So we're a candidate school. And the point about, what is the fit and how, the parents have a lot of concerns in COVID times. Obviously, all of us, every single business has had to readapt itself. We are in a very positive situation in that sense. I mean, an entrepreneur always has to look at the optimistic side of life. And we're actually starting up. In fact, we had already, we were already going to be a Microsoft school, and tech was one of the pillars of what we, values, if you want to call it, of philosophies of what we were doing with our school. And it's become even more important. I mean, here you're meeting 2 members of our team. There's Kyriakos, who's in charge of technology at our school, not just for teaching, but how are the students going to be linked to the teachers and to the wider world through technology. Work from home is one of the new things, or it used to exist, but the pandemic has brought it to the fore of how lives are going to change around families, around people living, around millennial working. So we are actually looking at all the scenarios that might be imposed on us in September. We're ready to open completely the school if the Ministry of Education says you can open now. We're ready to open a blended version, which is some kids in there and some kids, on a rotation basis to do classes, and pure virtual, if that is the case, that the pandemic has a third or fourth wave, whatever we call it at that point. And we're definitely ready in terms of, all the other stuff that goes with a global pandemic, how life is organized within the school. And we thought it would be great to have Megan and Jose answering questions about, how will elementary work? How will we motivate the kids? Because elementary is one of the key areas. So I'd just like to, hand over to Megan, but I wanted to say these other things that are relevant.
Megan, please.
Yeah, sure. From our K3, so we'll have 3-year-olds through 5th grade in elementary, and we will, as teacher said, we have plans for, in-person opening, hybrid, and just completely online. But with elementary, it is really important to build that community. But we also have to realize our children have been through a lot with COVID, and they are resilient and they are able to get through it. But there also be a lot of support for processing those feelings and getting them to understand why they're feeling the way, and a lot of reteaching as well. When they left school in March, they were able to collaborate, work in groups, do all that, and they've been doing it digitally online and continuing to do that. However, we're also going to have to reteach those explicit skills of, taking turns if you're looking at preschool, or when you're collaborating in a group and a problem comes up or a disagreement, how do you solve that problem? So those skills that we use in the workplace daily are going to be explicitly taught. So our first unit we're planning with teachers is called We Are United, and we're looking at our community of learners and who we are and how we get to where we want to be. So one thing in elementary too is we believe in playful inquiry. So inquiring into, which lends itself very well to in-person, but also if we do the hybrid or online, and not traditional worksheets or teachers standing in front of the room, but a real authentic, engaging opportunity for students to inquire into the world that they're experiencing right now. So looking at COVID and how it spread, or how many times do you wash your hands a day? So using this pandemic as an opportunity rather than a challenge to have our students develop their critical thinking skills, their problem solving skills, their collaborative skills. And that does start, we sometimes forget as parents or people, I think, short sell little kids. 3-year-olds can even start to do that. So that's where we're going with the elementary school. Even whatever opening happens based on what we're mandated to do, that's not going to change who we are as a school and what our beliefs are. So that will continue. It just might be a different medium of delivery.
So we have some, just to follow up on that, we have some questions coming in regarding these 3 scenarios, blended, lockdown, and open with constraints. How will the day-to-day life look like?
Jose, do you want to do this, or do you want me to? Okay. So we've come up with a way to have it be as normal as we can, the new normal everybody's talking about, but also not wavering from good practice and pedagogy that we believe in. So we will have kind of learning cohorts, if you will. So students will be with a certain group of people and they'll stay with that group of learners. And we've also changed around the whole movement. So students won't have to travel to classes, like teachers will travel. There'll still be opportunities for them to get up and have movement breaks and brain breaks, because we know research says that that's best. But we don't want to have that cross opportunity for students to pass something along. Of course, we have social distancing, masks, all the things that CDC recommend. However, we're looking at adapting our school as far as just the opportunity still to have collaboration. We're spreading out our furniture, but they'll still be able to work in groups. So what we're hoping is that it might look different, but it won't feel different. Our students will still have the opportunity to socialize. They'll still be collaborating and working together, but it may, if you're going in the room, it may look different than actually it was in the past.
Speaking about how, for example, rooms will look like, there's another question from Vanessa. If the school opens in September, how are you going to ensure physical distancing between the students during lessons, lunch breaks, PE lessons, etc.?
Okay, I can't answer this one. Happens that the day before yesterday, we met with the architect. I mean, one of the advantages we have is that the building is designed for almost 1,000 students. And this first year, we're not going to go over like 150 students. So we have space. It's a big problem for the.
All right.
I can't hear
Jose.
Jose.
Okay. So we met with the
broke a
architect,
bit.
and then we designed if you could have the social distancing.
Jose, the last thing that we heard from you before breaking was that you have a school designed for 1,000 students, and right now you have 150 enrolled. So that's the last thing we've heard.
Sorry. So no, what I was saying is like we met with the architect, and then we designed the classrooms, and we realized that we could have in the same classroom the social distancing with the same number of kids that we have, with a small number. And like Megan was saying, they will do the same activities, they are the same group projects, but with distancing. For example, lunchtime, the cafeteria is designed for 250 students. We'll have small groups, and they will have circles with empty spaces in between. So we prevent having like walls, acrylic walls. So they will interact in small groups. So in that sense, we're lucky.
I'd just like to jump in, Alex, that all our classrooms have natural light and windows that we can open to the outside, except for the sound recording studio, which is a special case. You can't have an outside window for reasons of recording. But everything else has windows that we can open, which is a huge benefit. We designed this, started with this job even prior to COVID, and we felt that was a very important part of the whole story of learning in a room, in a classroom with natural light. And we have windows that we can open, which is air circulation and diffusion of the clusters, clustering of viral viruses is important, right? The other point I'd just like to mention is that anyone interested will be able to see there's construction going on, but when you're actually outside the building, you'll see the scale of the building. We have a large building ready, as Jose said, ultimately for 1,000 kids. And the outside spaces where we have PE is open air, and we have the opportunity here to adapt what we have, and kids will be able to do PE not in an indoor space, because that's the more difficult thing, if I'm not mistaken, but in outdoor spaces. So just my 2p worth. Sorry.
We have one questions from Tanya. Could you please give us some information about programs for children with learning disabilities? Are there any programs for children with learning disabilities?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So we are inclusive school. You would go through the application process and admissions, and then we as principals meet with you, and we have a learning support teacher, also a counselor. So she would also probably meet with the family. And then from there, we would create a plan that supports your child. We don't have a separate program. We believe that pushing in and supporting the child in the classroom environment as most as possible could happen. But we do have one specific counselor and support teacher, and then a few of our teachers also have a certification in special education. So it would be in a classroom environment to support, unless they need to be taken out for specific things, and then that service or modification would happen with that teacher.
Okay, thank you for that.
Just to add to
please.
Megan's comment. So we have this person, there's the counselor and psychologist, and will help. And when we get applications, the only criteria we have is to see if we can provide what the children need. So if we think that we have the resources to help that child, we'll accept it for her. So it depends on to be an honest provider or not that we have. So it depends on the needs they have. It's a wide variety of children.
Thank you. We have I think it's an interesting question on Facebook from one of our live viewers. I have a question to panel. If students from diverse community coming together in an international school, how can the school make sure that the students remain as diverse as they were when they came in and not get chiseled by a single mold, single value system prescribed by the school or the curriculum imported by the school and lose the diversity values through that process? I think this is actually a very nice,
it's a
very good question. Yeah.
It's a very good question. If I could use an example, and I mean, Canadians have this comparison with Americans, right? And one of the things Canadians are very proud to say is that they look like a fruit salad. So they say, as a country, we allow each fruit to keep their own flavor, and they maintain their own flavor. The mixture is what it gives these different things. So as a school, we'll have all these activities of international days, all these things for the kids as well, to be proud of their own nationalities and their culture, and to celebrate their own identities. And so there's room for them to be proud. And it's very interesting to see when kids from a very minority culture, when they have space to share with the other ones how proud they feel and how honored they are with their own culture. So this is something very interesting question.
It is an interesting question. I just like, sorry, Megan, go first. And I just like to comment as a...
No, I think adding on to that, I think we have a lot of third culture kids who are kids that have been raised in multiple countries. My kids were born in Brazil, and then we went to China. My son identifies as Brazilian. My daughter identifies as Chinese. But we are American. And so I think that as parents and as a school, we want the children to, be proud of who they are, even if it doesn't match their passport, because they may have a passport from one country, but have never lived in that country. So it's just as Jose was saying, it's about embracing individuals, but within the whole as well. So how do we as individuals fit together as a puzzle to, solve a problem that's global, or just celebrate each other's community celebrations? Maybe it's a Hanukkah and you're not Jewish, but you can still celebrate it. So it's honoring the culture, but also looking at us as a whole as well.
I'd just like to comment on that, coming from a multiracial country in the first place, marrying a guy who's a different color to me, and from another multilingual country, at least Switzerland, and living in Portugal, having 4 kids who are pretty much global citizens. And I understand where that question comes from. We're not trying to put everyone into the single value mold. That's where I would disagree. We're not trying to put kids into a single, the American-based curriculum is, we are getting accredited with a particular board, and we saw this as for an international school, right? And the other thing to mention is that we'll have activities like Model United Nations, which we want to be a core part of our offering, that Jose and Megan are working on. And that is about respecting foreign cultures, and where empathy is all about understanding where the other person from the other nationality comes from, So, developing empathy is, I think, one of the key things at a very young age. And this, we have various things to help us do that. And I love the fruit salad example, which is
me too.
But you can rest assured that, we are not trying to make kids robots. or, you know, respond to some, you know, single mold at all. I mean, celebrating diversity, and that's what I think, you know, Megan and Jose mentioned, you know, with their examples that they gave. Celebrating diversity is where it then develops into respect for other cultures as well. You know, I was very proud. I mean, you know, I'm Indian of Hindu origin. My husband is Roman Catholic, Swiss, as I said. And, you know, the kids have different bits in them. They don't, like your children, you know, where are they really from? Or, you know, well, they're in Portugal. They definitely have Portuguese residence, but they have British and Swiss passports with Indian origin. What does that all mean? It just means that you are actually a fruit salad yourself, right? And I think, you know, we're building this picture now for you. And I hope that you'll understand that there's no single mold there that's going to, the value system is an international value system of respect, I think, is what I'd like to end my little speech with.
We have about a few more minutes, like 5 minutes maybe. We have, I think, 2 or 3 more questions. So if you agree, I would move on with that. Moving back from this really beautiful topic that we can, I'm sure, talk about the entire day, to a very COVID specific. Will there be any required or requested COVID testing for faculty, students, and teachers, and or proof of being COVID free?
I mean, right now, with all these guidelines and legislation, we're keeping it open. We're not publishing like anything definitive because we don't know yet, right? So we're open. We don't have. It would be very, very premature for us to make a list of what we're going to require because we don't know what's going to happen in the next weeks,
Exactly.
right? So we have all these things on the back of our planning, but we don't have a list already of requirements of things decided.
And just to add to what Jose said, that there is a private hospital just down the road, CUF Descobertas, which, you know, where people, local residents, you know, foreigners especially, have no problems getting COVID tested here. And certain concelhos or counties in Portugal actually offer COVID testing for free. So all that is doable for, I don't know what nationality the question came from, but if you're considering moving here, I know families of foreign nationalities who've moved here and actually had their tests done either privately or in the local concelho, privately at a much lower price than what, you know, other people pay in other countries, but publicly it's free.
Indeed. We have another question from anonymous attendee. What is the school approach to technology? Are students using laptops and tablets?
Okay, I can answer that. So the technology in the school, we have it like is blended, is merged on the topics. So we don't have like a technology class. So they will use it as another tool as part of the teaching. And for the little ones, it will be like tablets provided by the school with the software, the control. And then from the middle school up, they will be able to bring their own device, the laptops. I don't know, Megan, you have anything for the little ones specific?
Yeah, I would just add on to that because sometimes when you hear little ones and technology, people have very strong feelings. So what we want to do as a school is not have it just technology for the sake of technology, but see technology as a conduit for learning. So looking at how we can use technology as a tool to enhance learning or redefine the learning, not just substitute. So it's not going to be your 3-year-old or even your 8-year-old just with a tablet on the whole time. It's going to be for a specific purpose. It's going to enhance the learning. And as we've all seen with online learning or home learning, our students have been upskilled in technology very quickly from necessity. So it's not going to be just doing it for the sake. It'll be really embedded into what we're doing and to make the learning happen that couldn't happen without technology, connecting with schools around the world or connecting with authors of their favorite books, different things like that.
All right. Thank you very much. I think that would be the last question. I'd like to wrap it up. We're actually on the point. And is there anything else that anyone would like to add that we haven't been speaking about, or any specific thing? If you'd like, please do.
I'd just like to say, please find out about our school and actually apply. Send us your, questions directly. 1 hour is too short to get into much detail, but once the admissions process kickstarts, Megan and Jose are personally interviewing the students and families, and you have much more opportunity to ask your questions. Teresa and Joanna are on site to help people, kids and parents understand our school better. And, it would be the right decision to move to Lisbon, absolutely, and come to United Lisbon International School would be what I would like to leave you with. And talk to James and Alex, obviously, about relocation. They're there to help you.
Thank you very much, Cheetah, for that. I just want to say that if the website for the school is unitedlisbon.school, so it's rather easy, unitedlisbon.school. And if you would like to send an email to the admissions office, it is admissions@unitedlisbon.school. If you have, we will be following up with all of you after this webinar, either in the form of an email or a newsletter, for sure, with not only with attendees, but also with all the people who registered. So that is why we insisted on the questions and Q&A section. If you want to contact Moviinn with any doubts about relocation or finding a school or anything similar, this is the contact email above my head, so contact@moviinn.com. This is our website. And thank you very much. I think we had a very, very good discussion and a very good talk, yet another one. And I would like to thank United Lisbon International School for being our partner on this edition. I hope this will not be the last. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for your answers. And of course, a huge thanks to all the attendees. We had a live on Facebook. We also recorded this, so there will be an edited version also on our pages later on for you to, check what you missed. Thank you very much again to all of you.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye bye.
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. Have a great day. Thanks.
Bye.